Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Performance E Streaming. It's Thursday night. That means only one thing. It is the ANZCAR Cup. We are here for the penultimate round tonight. Yes, it is the round before the playoffs finishes, and it is the last chance for the final drivers to get in to the final four. So lots at stake here tonight at Martinsville Speedway. It's going to be a tricky race for these drivers tonight. I'm Mr. Carl Wilkinson with you, joined up here in the booth by Mr. Mark Johansson. Mark, how are you going, buddy?
Yeah, good, mate. Good to see the last time here at Martinsville for the season, and some lives on the line really tonight, if you want to put it that way too, Carl.
Absolutely, a lot at stake here tonight, and of course we also have Mr. Matty Hunter working his magic in the background. Matt, how you going, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Looking forward to this. Martinsville is one of my favourite tracks.
Absolutely, should bring us some good racing where it's a slightly smaller field tonight. So let's go through the pack, through the starting grid tonight, and up on pole position, place where he's going to be wanting to stay actually is Mr. Neil Pearson, who is right up there at the front next to Andrew Dyson. Of course, Dyso is locked into the final four. Dave Douglas is next on the track with JCW. Of course, Dave Douglas, he's going to be wanting to keep himself right up the front and possibly get a victory as well to make sure he secures his final spot in that group. Next up, it's Matty Ray, who's in a must-win situation tonight. If he can win it, he can get into the final four. Otherwise, he is looking to be dropping out here next to Ruben Phelps, another driver who is locked in to that final four group. Of course, good job from SRM. They're going to be very happy with that. Norman Clark lines up on row 4 next to Jai Schultz, the other driver in a must-win situation tonight. Jai, of course, missing at the first round of this set races. So he's in a must-win situation tonight. If he can get that victory, he can get into that final four. Next up, it's Lachlan Urquio with Riley Curtis. And rounding out our grid tonight is Brad Fenley in the Aussie Beers Motorsport car. So, getting ready tonight, getting everybody out to speed, and Neil Pearson would sorely love to get a victory tonight, just to say to Dyson, look, I can take it to you, and make sure he's comfortable there. Of course, he is through to the final four on points. Pace car just going around getting everybody up to speed. Drivers will be getting their tyres up to temperature tonight. Track temperature wise, 25 degrees Celsius. Air temperature just 19 degrees, so a nice cool day here in Martinsville. So that's good news for these drivers, because this track can get awfully hot on the tyres. So we are going to be looking at getting the race underway, as the pace car will be pulling in this time round on the paperclip. And it's going to be a absolute do or die situation for Jai Schultz and Matty Ray tonight. It's their only opportunity to get into the final round. Dave Douglas would want to make sure he finishes ahead of those two, just so he can secure that final spot. Pace car comes in, green flag's about to drop. I'm going to shut up. Let's enjoy these cars roar around Martinsville for this round 35 of 36 of the ANZCAR Cup. And lap one is underway and complete, and Neil Pearson's managed to keep himself in the lead. Not much changing throughout the pack at the moment. Everybody just settling in and getting those tyres up to temperature, Mark.
Yeah, definitely just settling down. I'm just watching further back as we see the pictures. Lachlan Urquio and Jai Schultz there did a couple of laps too wide. Definitely not the place you want to be too wide early on. Here at Martinsville. It's very, very tight and very tricky little track. People say, oh, it's only going around in circles, but there's a lot of brake work here at Martinsville.
Yeah, it's one of those things of, you might be just turning left, but there's a lot of different parts of the track you need to be on. You need to be on the brakes at the right time. You need to be on the accelerator at the right time. It's like going around the tightest, twistiest racetrack in Europe. but it is just all corners. There's barely any straight here. You get the car up into the fourth gear, just up towards the end of the rev range, and then you're going back into turns 1 or 2, 3 or 4. And it's not long that you have to sort of relax, to rest, to take a breather, because you're pretty much cornering all the way around this circuit.
Yeah, definitely right, Carl. And what's tricky here too is you got 2 race surfaces. You got the turns, both 1 and 2, 3 and 4, cement, and then that rejoins back in asphalt. And if you hit the brake at the wrong time or lock a brake up, you can see the car turn around going in. And same with coming off the turn, as we watch out Dyson and Pearson here. If you normally you're on the gas fairly well, but if you go for a short shift in the gears and grab it at the wrong time on that change, the grip can on the cement can actually turn you around.
And Neil Pearson locking up the brakes into the corner there, and that's lost him a position, lost him the lead to Andrew Dyson. I was about to ask Matt if he's got a replay of Riley Curtis, who just had a bit of a moment. His car went around. He managed to save it and didn't bring out the caution, but he just took a little bit too much curb on the entry to the corner. There was a bit of a puff of smoke as Josh Schultz just goes around there as well. He's managed to keep the car running, but this is Riley Curtis just catching that curb. He did the same as what Josh Schultz did, just on the entry to the corner rather than the exit, as the caution flag flies here for Riley Curtis, who's just had another little moment, just going through the corner, ran a bit wide, got up onto the tarmac, and it's just spun the car around on him. As we see here, that replay. So watch Riley here. He's going to go into the corner and just run a little bit wide, and that's going to throw him out a little bit. Just gets up a little bit high, the car snaps, and these things are so hard to save. When you get a little snap in this Cup car, it's just really impossible to save sometimes.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot this year, where it snaps and you kind of sort of just want to try and ride the spin out and let it come to rest, and then grab another gear and get underway again. But very different to the last gen car, where you could actually opposite lock it and steer into the skid, where this one just seems to snap back really quick on you.
Yeah, it's always such a pain. I really struggle with this modern Cup car when it just has those little snaps. It's just so hard to save. We had a whole heap of cars coming down the lane, a few sticking it out. So Dyson, Douglas, Carol Walden, Clark, and Schultz all stuck it out on track. The rest of them came in for a couple of tyre changes, possibly a little bit of a setup change as well. If you're new to the ANZCAR Cup, well, first of all, welcome, but second of all, you've missed most of the races this season, so let's hope you can go back and enjoy some of the classics that we've had this year. But we run a fixed open setup, so everybody starts on the same setup. When a caution flag comes out, when they come into a pit lane, they can then change it, of course. Green flag stops as well. They can only change the tyre pressure and the bump, so a little bit of the suspension, but it can be a huge difference maker, especially on a track like this. This could really benefit some of those drivers out there. A few more drivers just coming in just to top up their fuel tanks as well. So coming in for just a little splash and dash, because we know it's going to be tight on fuel. It was about 130 laps, I think, they could make. Getting into that stage right here where you could possibly get close to the end if you really, really fuel save heavily.
Yeah, some of these guys will be rolling around, foot on the clutch, or even turning the motor off where they can, just to try and save that a little bit. The comment was made to me earlier about fuel and pit stops is choose your own adventure. I think that's a pretty good way to put it, Carl, because if you group pit under green, you will go 1 or 2 laps down, and more than likely 2 laps down.
Yeah, this could be crucial for those guys that have come in just for a quick splash and dash. This could really save their race if they can make it to the end from this point on. I don't think they can, but they'll get a lot closer than the rest of the crew, and they might be able to come in for a much shorter stop. So keep an eye for Brad Fenley in this run. and see how that one works out. Pace car is in. Dyson Douglas up at the front row, and it's going to be the restart here as they come to the restart zone. And who is going to get away better? It is Dyson, who gets a beautiful start on the low line. Gives JCW a good run as well into turn one. They're side by side coming through the corner. JCW just gives the curve a little nibble, saves the car. Great job from him just to keep that car pointing in the right direction. It would have been so easy to have a little bit of a skid there. Of course, these guys on the slightly older tyres, they're not taking that pit stop. They've not changed tyres. They'll have their tyres right up to temperature instantly, whereas the cars behind will take a couple of laps just to get comfortable as Neil Pearson almost runs a bit too wide there. He's going to lose a spot to Ruben Phelps and Matty Ray. It's not been the start for Pearson that he would have wanted. Dyson, however, is away like a scalded dog.
Yeah, definitely. Just did some quick arithmetic-y things, and lap 20 is where I put it. So no one can actually make it home if it's around the 130 laps, mate. So another they're 3 laps short. So, and we're under caution again. So that will save.
Well, this will save it because there has been a big moment towards the back of the pack as Ruben Phelps and Neil Pearson were battling it out and just got a little bit wide for Ruben. He lost a lot of momentum, had Lachlan Urquhart just tag the back of him. Riley Curtis just tagged the back of that as well in avoidance. And it just slowed the car down enough in a spin to bring out the caution flag. So this is going to be this is a crucial moment for all of these drivers because this is going to be the chance they need to get to the end.
Yeah, they should. So they can jump up to come down pit lane now. It's 100. It'll be 130 laps on the tank exactly. But geez, the tyres are going to be feeling it at the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyre wear will be the defining factor. And Brad Fenley, he got lucky there. Absolutely, foot on the brakes, got himself. Looked like he was going to be able to sneak under the gap there, but just got close up, and he just saved the car. We were expecting it to be a relatively clean race tonight with so few cars out there, but Martinsville is one of those tracks that is so very easy to make a mistake on. And we've seen it a couple of times now. Just mistakes happening. Cars getting forced out wide. Cars going up onto that tarmac, round 3 and 4, 1 and 2, of course, and off the concrete section of the track, and just losing the rear.
Yeah, what you've also got to be careful of here too, Carl, is that ripple strip around the turns. If you get too much of that, like I know some guys will put their left front right into that corner, into the gutter, and should you ride that ripple strip just a little bit too much, that'll see you going around also.
Yeah, absolutely. It is so easy to make that mistake and touch the curbing and have yourself having a adventure in a rather uncomfortable position on the track, and never fun when those kind of things happen. And you feel so embarrassed when it happens as well. Of course, it's going to be a fairly long run to the end here, and if we see something like a green-white checker, that could also throw some of these strategies out the window. Those extra couple of laps could force drivers to need to make a stop at the end, or if you timed it right, you could have enough in the tank to get there and enough tyre to get you to the finish line as well. But it's going to be a really tricky race now. I think it's the strategies. There's so many different strategies you can use, and these cars that have stayed out, of course, running under the pace car conditions, they will have saved a whole heap of fuel too. Imagine they're still going to have to come in, but this is going to give them a lot more options as the race goes on.
Yeah, just keep an eye on those 2 DPR cars. They're the ones that can save fuel like there's no tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see what Dyson can do, and same with Pearson.
So we're coming back to the restart zone, and away Dyson goes. Another nice restart. The low line working well there. Dave Douglas looking to make advantage as well. Now he's starting on the inside of JCW and able to force him up on the slightly higher part of the track. And it looks like Douglas has worked his way up into second. Great drive so far from Douglas. Oh, Phelps and Pearson make contact, and Pearson goes around.
That'll definitely be an interesting one to have a look at.
So let's take a look-see here. Ruben Phelps jotting it down the inside of Neil Pearson and just gets on the brakes a little bit late there, just tags the back end of Neil Pearson and sends him around. And just a late moment there, just gap closed a little bit. So just looks like he just mistimed the brake in there.
Yeah, that's unusual mistake from Ruben, but it's racing and it's a short track racing at its best.
Sorry, Mark, I missed that.
I said it's unusual to see Ruben make a mistake, but it's short track racing at its best here at Martinsville.
Absolutely, and like it just shows, even with a small field, it's so easy to have things happen like this. It's kind of good news for Riley Curtis because he's going to get his lap back here. Also for Lachlan Oakio, who took a fair bit of damage in that second caution. He's got quite a bit of damage to the right front of the car. Neil Pearson as well, he's got some damage on the car as well now. So those two are going to be able to come in and get some quick repairs done. Obviously, that will get them a little bit better towards the race end. Brad Fenley back in, just topping up the fuel tanks once more. Brad is, I get the feeling that Brad's going to be trying to run this as long as possible, and he's not too worried about the tyres dropping off. He's just going to be seeing what he can do on a full tank and just trying to get to the end. So could be a interesting race for the number 20 tonight. Could see him jumping a couple of cars in the pit stops and maybe holding that position off at the end of the race. So we'll keep an eye on the Aussie Beer Motorsport car. Of course, the good news for Neil Pearson is he's safely through to the next round, of course. So he hasn't got anything to worry about here. He can't be knocked out no matter what now. But the drivers at risk are Dave Douglas, Jai Schultz, and Matty Ray. And Jai Schultz and Matty Ray both need to win the race to get through. Dave Douglas just has to finish ahead of both of those cars. So as long as Dave Douglas finishes ahead of Jai Schultz and Matty Ray, he is through. If Matty Ray or Jai Schultz win the race, then they are through. So it is very much that sort of it's a tricky thing for the drivers because they really want to get through to that final four. But Dave Douglas is in a really unenviable position because he's right on the bubble. You know, if he just doesn't win the race and Jai or Matty Ray does, then he is going to be out and there's nothing he can do. So he's in a really awkward spot at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And not that we have favours up here in the booth. I'm hoping for Matty Ray because he's driving the best type of car.
No favouritism at all there, Mark. It's good to see you being unbiased as ever. Back to the restart we go, and again, Dyson gets away nicely. That low line gets away very well indeed. JCW slots down low quickly, trying to squeeze his way past Dave Douglas, who's dropped back into third position, possibly as Jai Schultz works his way up the field. Jai Schultz having a great recovery here, working his way through the traffic after that little spin earlier in the race. He's all the way up into second place now, and he is doing everything he can to get through to that final four. Dave is desperately trying to stop that from happening, though. He is really, really pushing to keep himself right up there. So we're going to see the cars now hopefully settle into a nice long green period, but it's been a very disrupted start here at Martinsville.
Yeah, very stop-start tonight. But we just see this battle really starting to heat up between Jai Schultz and Dave Douglas. Jai's just not nice and easy. Doesn't look like he's really pushing that car too hard, that Toyota. Dave's definitely trying. Oh, as I say that, he makes a little mistake and goes out wide. That's opened the door for Dave to get underneath. I think Dave will come out in second here, and Jai may even find himself back and forth.
Yeah, JCW positioning the car there right on the tail of Douglas, and that's really, really not helped Jai Schultz, who's dropped all the way back into 4th position now. Andrew Dyson, meanwhile, just running away up the front and making himself a bit of a gap, and I think he wants to try and get as big a gap as possible because he wants to get this victory. He doesn't need it, but he still wants to get that win. We know how much Dyson will go for it no matter what. But meanwhile, behind Dave Douglas gives the wall a little run. Just a tiny soft one. Just get himself a strike. Nothing major there. But it just shows how fast and hard these guys are pushing, absolutely taking it to the very edges of the track limits. Of course, those very edges of the track limits have walls next to them, so you can't gain an advantage.
Just looking further back in the field, with Ruben Phelps and Neil Pearson, and now back on nose to tail. Ruben's just been able to open that gap just a little bit, but you see here mid corner. Oh, as I say that, Ruben gets loose, keeps it going.
Definitely got some heat in those rear tyres from that moment, and just wonder if that was a little bit helped by Neil Pearson there, because he I think Ruben just locked the brakes coming into the corner, and Neil just got nice and close there and just gave him a little bit of a touch, just saying, look, you gave me a touch before, I'll just help you this time. And that is some proper NASCAR style racing there.
Yeah. Oh, and unfortunately for Norm, just touches the back of Neil Pearson. So, thankfully they all kept going. But yeah, unfortunate for Phelps here. He's found that cement the asphalt on the inside, and back up the front. Dave Douglas now settled in and taking chase after Dyson.
Yeah, don't discount Dave on a track like this. Of course, he is very good on the short tracks. Dave is pretty good everywhere, but Dave is very good on short track racing here. Phoenix, pretty much specialities for him as well. So he could really be in with a chance here of getting his first win of the season. Although I'm sure he'd rather his first win come in Phoenix.
Yeah, I would say so. But he's got to stop touching that outside wall, otherwise he may end up finding himself in pit lane.
He's giving that wall just the gentlest of nudges, same as Dyson in front. Actually, I've been watching both of these cars, and they have just been absolutely using the paint on the right side of the car to its maximum advantage, just rubbing it off every lap on the wall, giving themselves an extra couple of milliseconds each lap, and really racing hard up the front, swapping fastest times between them as well. So each lap I look at them, and each time one of them is faster than the other, but not consecutive laps. So that is really fun racing up the front. It's a bit spread out further down the pack now. There's a fair bit of gapping happening because of that little moment between Ruben Phelps and Neil Pearson, and that's spread the field out pretty well here now. So there's not any fights that are really any closer than this between Douglas and Dyson.
And we can see some good pictures here coming from, thanks to Matt. And you can see it's a reasonably flat track. There is a little bit of banking, and you really want to get down into that gutter as close as you can mid corner, and then just let it drift back out to the wall ever so slightly. Easier on the gas on the way out, not to burn those rear tyres up or spin the tyres, and really want to be nice and easy on the brake and just let it roll into the corner, Carl.
Yeah, it's all about being gentle with the car at a place like Martinsville. You can't really hustle the car around. You can't be too forceful with it. You have to just let the car run as it wants to run, because if you try and hustle it, you end up just burning the tyres up too quickly and then struggling all night long. And it's one of the things about short track racing, in this style of car is you just have to be smooth, have to be relaxed, have to be calm. Otherwise you will struggle as the laps tick away. We are on lap 48 now, 102 laps remaining here tonight. And it's Andrew Dyson in the lead, ahead of Dave Douglas and Joshua Carroll-Walden. Those three got a nice gap ahead of Jai Schultz and Matty Ray, who are sitting in 4th and 5th at the moment. Remember, those two need to take victory here tonight to get through to the final 4. Dave Douglas just has to finish ahead of both of those two cars to get himself into the final 4 as well. So plenty at stake here, and Matty Ray doing a good job at the moment, working his way forwards in the SRM car, the mobile brake and mechanical team. He's currently nursing a bit of a knee injury as well. It's healing up well, from what he told me, but it's never fun driving these cars, especially on a short track when your knee's not quite at 100%.
I told him about water skiing.
Well, we just can't stop him from jumping the sharks. He just loves it too much. Yeah, no, it's good to see him recovering, and hopefully that's not going to be playing too much havoc with him, because if there's anything we know up here in the booth, it's knee injuries and driving a race car, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. It's not fun.
No. That's our one talent, getting injured on knees. Ruben Phelps down in 10th position. He's trying to close the gap here a little bit, but I imagine his tyres are still struggling a little bit. They would have got very hot with that moment and that half spin around the track, and that will just cause the car to struggle all through this stint, and he probably warned them a little bit more than the cars around him as well. So he's going to be paying for that moment for a long time in this part of the race.
Well, if everything goes the way they hope, they shouldn't have to come down pit lane, and we just jump to the battle there. Matty Ray's making a move on Jai Schultz, very close, nearly stuck it up the inside in turns 3 and 4. Matty's got the bit between his teeth now, and he's decided there's time to press on and catch those guys in front of him.
Beautiful move there by Matty Ray. Just forces Jai up a little bit. He tags the wall, and that's going to give Pearson the opportunity to get through as well. Neil Pearson, Lachlan Oakrio closing in quickly as well. And Jai Schultz is in a really tough spot now. He's stuck up high at the moment in that LCR car, and that's going to really, really cause him trouble. And he's going to lose a place to Neil Pearson. Can he hold off against Lachlan Oakrio? He's going to try. Just gets the car down in the nick of time. That could save him that 6th spot.
I was just watching Matty, and he just ever so slightly crept up on the tail of Jai, and just forced Jai to go that extra little bit wider into the turn, and he was able to get that nose down under. It was beautifully set up by Matty Ray.
Very well planned attack there from Matty Ray. Now he's got to just think a little bit defensively, as he's got Pearson right on his tail now, and Neil Pearson in the red car. I imagine he's seeing a little bit of red at the moment anyway. He will not be happy with his start of the race, having that moment. He locked up, lost the position to Dyson, and then got caught by Ruben Phelps on a restart, just sending him around. And Neil Pearson's going to be really wanting to get those positions back, because I imagine he felt like he had a chance of a victory here tonight, and it feels like it's all slipped away from him as it stands.
Yeah, we just I'm just focusing in. Got a zoomed in picture, and you can see both those cars on screen now. The rear disc brakes are really starting to heat up, getting a nice red glow into them. So nice and warm.
As Pearson goes down the inside, forces Matty Ray up high, and Neil Pearson's going to make the move here, and he does. The 62 moving up on the 83 makes up a position, and Matty Ray's going to drop himself right behind Neil Pearson again, not to lose too much speed. He saw that move happening, and he sort of let it happen as quick as possible so he could get back down on the low line and save his current speed out. So the battle is back on now. Neil Pearson has a good about 7 seconds to make up on JCW, so it's a fairly large gap to the front, which is fairly closed up at the moment, just 1.5 seconds separating the top 3. Dyson has pulled out a little bit on Dave Douglas, but they are still within striking distance of each other. So Plenty of stuff that could still happen up here at the front as they're starting to catch the tail of the pack. Brad Fenley there in the number 20. He's cruising around, just keeping the car nice and smooth. He wants to make it to the end without too much trouble and without having to come down pit lane. So he's going to be just taking it easy at the moment, and he won't put up too much struggle once he gets to being lapped, I imagine.
Yeah, I can also update you. Lachlan Erkley has actually been able to get past Jai Phelps. So Jai's not had a good couple of laps there. He's lost 3 spots.
Yeah, Jai's one of those cars that stayed out in that initial stayed out. He's still on the starting set of tyres and starting setup, of course. And I wonder if that's starting to pay for those drivers that came in. All 3 of those cars have been down pit lane to get some changes done to the vehicle, and they're starting to get a little bit better pace, especially in the long run here. So this could be the adjustments just starting to come to pay off.
It's been an interesting season with that hybrid setup. It's just we've seen some guys really nail it. The DPR guys and the SRM guys have really nailed it this year. But there's been some of those races, the guys have gone the wrong way, and we've heard from Neil a few times through the year and Dyson that they've gone in opposite directions, and it's been a real handful for them.
Yeah, it does add a little bit of difference to the racing, having the open setup module in for the racing, at least, not for the whole race itself. Of course, if you've got a fixed setup, it means everybody's got the same setup at the start of the race, but they can just tweak it a little bit as the race goes on. And it has brought some really interesting stuff out there. As what's happened to Jai Schultz there? He's had a bit of a moment, I think, as he's just run up high and lost a couple of positions to Riley Curtis and Norman Clark. So Jai's starting to struggle out there at the moment on those starting set of tyres.
Yeah, he's got a big decision now. Does he stay out there and just keep trying to fight that car, or does he take the chance and come into the pit lane and take a service and fresh tyres, and hope to God that there's a couple of more cautions?
Yeah, Jai's known for taking a slightly different strategy, so I wouldn't be shocked to see him coming down pit lane. We're almost at that half race distance, and see him try something a bit different here, because he's not really got the speed to take it to anybody else at the moment, and he's only 2 spots away from last, so it might be worth taking a punt, just trying something different here, and seeing if he can come in a bit early to get the jump on the rest of the field if they need to come in as well. Of course, tyre wear will be a factor, and you could find that these starting cars who have not come into pit lane might struggle, and Dyson is into pit lane. So Jai Schultz can't take advantage of an undercut because Dyson is doing that right now. Dyson into the pit lane. He is coming in and making his stop. So this is going to shake things up through the field, I imagine.
Yeah, it's going to put a big banner in the works to see how many laps, firstly, Dyson ends up going down, because I do believe it's normally around 2 laps if you pit on the green.
He's gone down 1 lap already, as Douglas and JCW have gone past. So we'll wait to see if they tiptoe around him again. So it's just coming out. So he's just about a lap and, almost 2 laps. So, yeah, he's lost quite a lot of position on the track there. But now he's on some fresh boots, and a tank full of fuel can make it to the end. And he is going full attack mode now. So that's sort of taken, I think that's going to take a few people by surprise. I imagine they're going to stick it out for a lot longer. Douglas and Carol Walden, they they're going to lose that sort of undercut position, but they could get a little bit of the overcut come into effect if they stay out and just get those tyres later in the race. But yeah, it's going to shake things up a fair bit here. Normally we see Dyson the last person to pit, so interesting to see him taking the early call here tonight.
Yeah, very unusual. Definitely, if he gets back on the podium, we'll definitely have to ask him about that. But it's worked into Dave Douglas's hand at the moment. He'd be looking for the checkered flag right about now, I'd say.
Yeah, it would be a happy moment for him to get that win here tonight, and he would be very happy for that to happen. So we'll see how that's going to pay off for them all, because it's going to be interesting to see how this one shakes out, because lap time, they're not too far off from each other. It's only about 0.4, about half a second, the difference for fresh tyres to old tyres at the moment. There's not that big a drop off at this stage, but every lap that's about half a second being taken out of the gap between the two cars. So it's going to be hard to really pit Dyson here by keeping out, because he's just going to get a monster lead, and we know how well he can look after his tyres and sort of keep a car going fast. So if everybody else has to come down the lane for a stop, Dyson should have a fairly hefty lead out of this one.
You would definitely say so. But again, it is oval track, it is short track racing, and anything is possible. We can see him though, they're closing up on the back of on the 42 and the 83 car, the two SRM cars, and he has closed that gap down very quickly.
Of course, a caution could really scupper him from here. If we just get one caution, that could really hurt his race out, as he will he's still not in the lucky dog position. He's got to catch up to Brad Fenley to get that one. So yeah, it's made for an interesting little run here to the flag, as we've got 66 laps remaining, as we see Dyson carving his way through the field. Matty Ray not making it easy for him to pass, but not fighting him too much as well, not wanting to lose too much pace. But that's left Dave Douglas in the lead of this race, with Josh Carroll-Walden in second, Neil Pearson up into third. He's closing the gap on these two cars as well. Every lap, he's about 0.2, about a couple of tenths faster than the leaders. So he is closing the gap to the front. Ruben Phelps is coming into the lane now. So another car coming into the lane. And this is one of the cars that stopped under that first caution. So Phelps has decided to pull it in to the lane and get his stop done.
Now, I'm just wondering now how many other guys are going to really look at the times and hear from the crew chiefs. And I just wonder how many of them are actually going to change their race strategy here.
If you can make it to the end up the front, currently you should have enough time you should still have a lead over somebody like over Dyson, actually. So it's going to be very, very tight, and if anybody can make it to the end from here, they're going to be sitting in a really strong position, I think. So yeah, I'm going to be intrigued to see as Gordon Clark gets a little bit loose going through 3 and 4 there, just saves the car, just gives them all a little bit of a nudge there as well, getting out of the way of a couple of cars there. But it just shows how quick your race can come unstuck and how quickly a caution flag can fall as well, by just having a car run up in that slightly higher groove. So yeah, anything can happen, and a caution could really really make the race harder for some of these guys that have made their stops. So yeah, I'm just going to be intrigued to see what people do here, as Dyson's going down the inside of Pearson here, getting his lap back on his teammate right now. He's going to be closing up very quickly to Douglas and Carroll-Walden as well, to get himself back on the lead lap. And that's going to be something that Douglas and Carroll-Walden have got to think about too.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, Matt. I was just checking out the points for the non-playoff guys, and it's there's not going to be a great deal of movement on the points wider side of things. But everyone that's here tonight, I believe, apart from
As Norman Clark pulls it into the lane. So Douglas still sticking it out there with Carol Walden. So yeah, it's going to be intrigued to see how this one plays out, because we've only got 55 laps to go, and it must be. I think a few of these drivers are thinking, "Oh, it's possible. I can just stay out there. I can just try something different here, and it might get me a good position." As they are just pondering what to do. And this is always the hard part about sim racing: is you're your own crew chief, you're your own mechanic, you're your own strategist, and you've got to do that while you're racing on track as well. And it's not easy to always make the right call, because you're racing out there, you don't have all the details that you do off the track, and that can really, really shake it up.
Norman's had a pretty good year for this season. Unfortunately, getting knocked out early in the playoffs, but he's still going to end up with a top 10 finish in the championship. So that's definitely a good way to end the season for Norman.
Yeah, he's going to be delighted about that. I mean, he would have loved to have got through to the final four, but in his own sort of words, he didn't think that was that possible. So getting it as far as he did, he was delighted with that. And it's been a decent season for him as well. It's going to be at least a top 8 finish for him in the championship by the looks of things, which is a really solid season for Norman, and just consistency absolutely paying off for him. 8 top 10 finishes this season as well. So again, just consistently inside at the top 10, top 15. And that's a sort of normal thing for Norman Clark, as Dyson's just got to the back of Joshua Carroll Walden now, and JCW is trying to defend as much as he can. Keeping Dyson down at that lap is crucial, I think, for both of their strategies. And it's not quite worked out. That fresher set of tyres for Dyson's just giving him the opportunity to make the run and get past JCW. I wonder how much Douglas is going to defend here. He absolutely is within his rights, but look at the speed difference off the corner, and Dyson goes sailing through. Douglas just has to go a little bit wider, keeps himself ahead of JCW, keeps himself in the lead of the race at the moment, but now Dyson is on the lead lap, so that leg caution won't penalise him nearly as much as it would have before. Currently for the chase drivers, Dave Douglas, if he keeps his position, he will be absolutely into the top 4. Even if he doesn't keep this position, though, he's pretty much through as long as Matty Ray or Jai Schultz do not win the race. So Jai Schultz, Matty Ray have to win this race to knock Dave Douglas out. Otherwise, it is going to be Dave Douglas, Ruben Phelps, Neil Pearson, and Andrew Dyson, of course, who go into the Final 4 shootout at Phoenix next week.
And remember too, Carl, Dave Douglas has done a fantastic job. He's a privateer. He doesn't have any teammates to share information with through practice sessions and test sessions. So he's done an absolutely fantastic job this year. If he stays where he is, or even if he makes it into the top 4, he's done a great job.
Yeah, he's the only driver inside the top 12 this championship season who is a lone driver, a privateer. Riley Curtis down in 13th position is the next driver who's a lone gunman. So it's really been close. It's been interesting to see those lone drivers. It's not been the easiest year for them because they've got nobody to share that information with. So it has made it a little bit more tricky for them. And obviously it's helped the teams out a little bit, just having that little bit more information to help them out. And it does make a difference, of course, having a few more eyes on track and a few more suggestions through a race for setup, for tweaks here and there, because you can have somebody say, yeah, I went this way and it really helped me out, and that can be a big difference maker in a race like this. So it's always a critical part of racing. So the gaps at the moment is just 0.6 of a second between Dave Douglas and Joshua Carroll-Walden. 2 seconds back, and that is Neil Pearson. About 9 seconds off that. And the leader's Lachlan Oakvio. 10 seconds down is Matty Ray. And Andrew Dyson sits in 6th position, just 15 seconds off the leaders. Now, as Dave Douglas pulls it into the lane with 41 laps to go.
I actually would have thought that Dave would have been in earlier than this, but nevertheless, he's pulled the trigger now. Matty Ray followed him in behind. So let's see where Dave pops back out.
He's going to fall pretty far behind Dyson, but he's going to have fresh tyres now to the end. So this final 40 laps, he can absolutely go hell for leather. When will JCW pull it into the lane, I wonder? Can't be too far off. He's one of those cars that hasn't stopped yet. Same for Jai Schultz. So if others are needing to pull it into the lane, then maybe these two will have to come in sooner or later. They possibly can't make it to the end. I wonder if Dave's just seen the pace of those guys behind, has just gone, all right, it's do or die from this lap. We've still got 40 laps remaining, so if I pit now, I've got plenty of tyre life to use, plenty of advantage to use, and just get to the end of the race. As we see Ruben Phelps trying to get one of his laps back at the moment. He dropped 2 laps down after his stop, so he really wants to get back at least 1 lap down at the moment on JCW, but JCW is going to be really a cork in a bottle here, because the more cars he can keep behind him means more traffic for those guys trying to make it through on fresh tyres, which could really slow down the pack, as Ruben Phelps makes a nice move, a late lunge on JCW there, who was not going to give up that position, had to make a racing overtake there from Ruben Phelps. Matty Ray, meanwhile, he's out on fresh boots, getting up to speed. He's ahead of Neil Pearson, crucially. He is going to be trying his best to get past JCW as quick as possible to get himself just 1 lap down. He's currently sitting 2 laps off the lead. Dave Douglas, he came out just behind Jai Schultz. Dave Douglas is only about 19 seconds off the leader at the moment, but he is a lap down, crucially. So he's going to want to try and get his lap back. He's just ahead of Andrew Dyson at the moment, who is the man he is going to be fighting for this race win. So he needs to start pulling a gap on Dyson to close in on that man.
JCW's still got two cars behind him, so he's definitely, as you said, a cork in the bottle at the moment. So, you just see the that black car jump off that inside curb and nearly have a little side swipe with Matty Ray there.
Riley Curtis there. He's battling it out with Matty Ray at the moment. These two are fighting for position. Riley Curtis came in a few laps earlier, about 25 laps ago, so his tyres are very much up to temperature but a little bit worn, but that is for position. So they are fighting for position, although they're 2 laps down. JCW leading the race is trying to fight to keep them 2 laps down, but he can't for too much longer as they go sailing past. Next up is Neil Pearson, who is on the lead lap. So Neil Pearson now has closed the gap on JCW, and this is a battle for the lead of the race now with 31 laps to go as JCW pulls it into the lane. And he is obviously, I think JCW was hoping for a late caution that just did not come.
This should sort it out. This will be the last stop with 30 laps now to go to the end of the race. So it's kind of sort of a 30-lap sprint now.
Is it a bit too little, too late for these guys? Lachlan Oakvio now pulls it in as he obviously couldn't make it much longer. I wonder how long Neil Pearson will keep it out there. Jai Schultz has done a great job. He has done 120 laps in this stint, so he has been out there since the start of the race. Not yet made a pit stop. He's currently sitting in 3rd position as well, so it's not too bad for Jai at the moment. He still needs to get a couple of extra spots, and I don't. It's going to be tricky to make it to the end as well. But he is at least doing what he can out there, and if a caution happens now, he's going to be the lucky dog at least. So yeah, it's really close for him at the moment. He's trying something a bit different with this longer stint, but he's got Dave Douglas all over the back of him now, and this is a move for position for Dave Douglas, and it's going to be a critical move as well because this puts him in that lucky dog spot. So if there is a caution now, Dave will at least get back on the lead lap. And Douglas isn't pulling up enough gap over Dyson, so he's not going to be closing in on Dyson anytime soon. And lap times as well are not really that much different between the two cars. You know, in 26 laps, I don't think he's got enough there to do it. So be interesting to see how that one pays out. So watch out for Brad Fenley as well. He's currently up in 9th position. He's still trying his long strun. So we'll see how that one plays out for Brad. Be nice to see him inside the top 10 tonight. Meanwhile, Norman Clark makes a big lunge on Neil Pearson, who is battling to keep both lapped cars behind him at the moment. Neil Pearson is in the lead of the race, but he hasn't stopped yet. Does he need to come in? Possibly can make it. He should be able to make it from here, so he can still make it to the end of the race. But it's going to be a thing of keeping those cars behind him now. So he's got to really defend because at the moment, Andrew Dyson is only 6 seconds behind him, closing in fairly quickly as well. Dave Douglas, 22 seconds back in 3rd position. So it's going to be it's going to be a real dash to the flag here, Mark. And we've got lots of different cars on lots of different tyre lives, lots of different strategies going on. And it's really jumbled up the field.
Yeah, it definitely has. And if we have a caution too, it's really going to throw things in the works. Because as you said, right at the moment, Dave Douglas will get that lucky dog position, and then we'll have the three guys back on the lead lap. And do they all come in the pit lane for a set of tyres?
You'd imagine they'd have to. It wouldn't be worth staying out there now. You're going to be better off with a fresh set, I would say. But it's going to be interesting to see what goes on from here, because Dave is trying to close that gap. He's managed to bring it down to just 20 seconds now, and he's about to get past Neil Pearson for his lap back. So if he gets past Pearson here, he no longer needs to worry about that lucky dog position because he's back on the lead lap, and that's going to be an important place to be. But he still has an awful lot of time to make up on these guys in just 19 laps, and that's not a lot of track time here at Martinsville.
No, definitely not. And the other thing too, Carl, is that with Dave being the lucky dog right at the minute, he needs to stay out there for an extra lap where the leaders can actually pit straight away under the caution. And but now that he's null and void because Dave is now back onto the lead lap.
And he has some nice clean air in front of him as well, and that's going to be needed for his run now to try and get some laps in there. Neil Pearson's doing a great job of holding position at the moment. He's only lost a couple of attempts to Dyson. So that gap is not closing as the caution flag is out. The caution flag is out. And this is going to be the massive cat amongst the pigeons here as Lachlan Urquio just gets a little bit tight in the corner. The back end steps out, and that's enough to bring out the caution flag. Makes a little bit of contact with Norman Clark. But this is going to change things up an enormous amount.
And the worst thing that could have happened is Jai Schultz was in pit lane when that caution came out.
Oh, no. Just, I guess the only good thing is at least he didn't enter a closed pit lane because that would have been just that tiny bit worse. But that was not what he needed in this race because that's going to lock him down a lap at the moment. So that's going to leave him one lap down. Now, Pearson, Dyson, Douglas all into the lane for some fresh boots. This has absolutely closed the gap at the front up. Joshua Carroll-Walden is going to be the lucky dog out there. He's going to get the lucky dog, going to get himself back on the lead lap, be able to come in for some fresh boots. The rest of the field will stay out there, of course, to get the wave around, but they won't be able to get any fresh tyres. So,
Sorry, mate. Sorry. Pearson's taken 2 tyres. Dyson's taken 4.
that is a big gamble from Neil Pearson, considering he's been out on those tyres for a good 100-odd laps.
And Douglas has taken 4. So that's a big change up for the front. Pearson's taken the rights only, and Dyson and Douglas have taken 4 tyres.
That is a big gamble from Neil Pearson. Wonder how that's going to pay off, because he's going to have some slightly used tyres there. As we said, he'd done about 100 laps on that set of boots. So the side he didn't change is going to be a little bit hotter, a little bit more worn. Could work out. It's just going to leave the car a bit unbalanced for the first couple of laps, you got to say.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a gamble, because those rights are going to be cold, and the lefts are going to come up to temperature fairly quick. So we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out for him.
So we'll wait for everything to shake itself out. Currently, everybody will be back on the lead lap bar. Brad Fenley, Lachlan Urquio, and unfortunately Jai Schultz. So that really came out at the worst possible time for the 27. Jai Schultz, that has really hurt his night. So, Mark, how many cautions do you reckon we're going to get from here?
I'd say at least another 2, and we're about to go back green flag racing. So let's see what happens.
The rest of the field are catching up from the wave around. So there's going to be cars sort of coming in pretty hot from their lap. But Neil Pearson's in the restart zone, gets away behind. It was pretty much single file as those cars were all having to stay on the inside line. But that's giving Dave Douglas the opportunity to get the low line, get past Dyson up into P2. This is what Dave Douglas back into this race. Neil Pearson up front. Remember, he only took right side tyres. So it's going to be a little bit touch and go for the first couple of laps. But we'll see how that pays off in this stint. We've only got 9 laps remaining, remember, so it is really, really going to be a dash to the flag, and they've all got in the way so far without much trouble.
It looks like Dyson's tyres are now starting to come up to temp. He's just starting to close that little gap that Douglas had over him. So this is, I'd say, where the race battle's going to be between these two.
Well, you're saying getting up to temperature, of course, Pearson will have had those tyres, at least one half of this car, up to temperature nice and quick. The rest of them taking a little bit more time, and I wonder if that's going to start paying off for those guys on the fresher boots now. Will they be able to close this gap? Joshua Carroll-Walden just behind. He's only done a few laps on those tyres as well, so he'd just come back out onto the track, of course, and I think he even made a pit stop with the lucky dog position, so got lots of fresh tyres behind. Neil Pearson just on the 2. But he's making it work at the moment. Some good pace in that car. But will it last for the remaining 6 laps?
Dyson just got a little bit loose there coming out in mid-corner in 1 and 2. Just seen the front end start to slip a little bit for him then.
Well, we are quickly coming to the end, and it looks like that little bit of a gamble has paid off for Neil Pearson, who's managed to build up a 0.7 gap. But will it remain in these last 4 laps? We're going to find out very, very shortly here, folks. It's going to be an absolute run to the end, as they are currently Neil Pearson, Dave Douglas, Andrew Dyson, Joshua Carroll-Walden, Maddie Ray, Ruben Phelps, Riley Curtis, Norman Clark, Lachlan Oakbeer, Brad Finlay, and unfortunately Jai Schultz down the back of the pack, 2 laps down. He is going to be really, really kicking himself when that caution came out. Just did not help him at all.
Yeah, definitely. And look, the 2 guys that we're going to lose tonight, Matty Ray and Jai Schultz, you gotta say that they've had a good season, because they'll finish 5 and 6 in the championship too. So it's been a pretty good season for both those guys.
Absolutely, but up the front is Neil Pearson in the lead. Dave Douglas is defending like a lion against Andrew Dyson at the moment as they're coming through. The white flag will be shown this lap to Neil Pearson, and we are coming to an end here at Martinsville for this, the last round of the playoff season before we go off to the actual playoff race itself at Phoenix. The white flag flies last lap. And who's going to get it? Joshua Carroll-Walden has a big snap. He's going to lose 4th position. He had a big, big moment, but we'll keep our eyes on Douglas and Dyson, because that's the real fight here. Can Dyson get through? Not quite. And it's going to be Neil Pearson. The gamble paying off for Pearson. He may have been facing the wrong direction earlier, but he takes victory here tonight ahead of Dave Douglas and Andrew Dyson in 3rd. Joshua Carroll-Walden manages to bring it home 4th after that big snap. Maddie Ray comes home 5th, with Ruben Phelps in 6th, Riley Curtis 7th, 8th for Norman Clark, Lachlan Oakbeer 9th, Brad Finlay in 10th, and Jai Schultz in 11th.
So the question is, are we going to see Neil touch the wall here at Martinsville on his burnouts?
He's going to be pretty happy with the win here tonight. So I imagine he would have been feeling like it was not coming when he had that moment earlier in the race where he was facing the wrong direction. Took some damage to the car, but he does indeed take victory here tonight. Okie dokie. Let's just run through our finishing order once more. And as I said, Neil Pearson taking the win here tonight. It looks on paper like it was an easy victory from pole to flag, but it was not indeed. It was a hard-fought battle for him. Dave Douglas comes home in 2nd. He did what he needed to do, and he has got himself into the final 4 for the playoffs. Andrew Dyson comes home in 3rd position, with Joshua Carroll-Walden in 4th, Matty Ray in 5th, Ruben Phelps 6th, has got himself into the playoffs as well. So the final 4 will be Phelps, Pearson, Douglas and Dyson. Riley Curtis comes home 7th, Norman Clark 8th, 9th for Oakbeer, 10th for Fenley, and unfortunately Jai Schultz just getting caught out with that caution. He finishes down in 11th spot. So
I was just going to say, Carl, with that win, that gives Neil number 10 win for the season. So great season for Neil, and the only person to finish above him there with wins is Dyson with 14.
Yeah, it's been, I think it's 15, because there's one that didn't classify from memory, because it's caught me out before. It's a really, really good season for DPR. They have been absolutely dominant so far this season, and once again dominating here tonight. And Pearson's going to be happy to get that win here tonight, because it puts them on equal footing for the playoffs with Andrew Dyson, just in the fact they both had a win in the last couple of races, so they can at least feel like they sort of pretty equal in those terms. Alrighty, well, we're going to start off with our 3rd place man tonight. It is the DPR of Mr. Andrew Dyson, as we'll bring him up to the booth. Dyson, welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on P3 here at Martinsville.
Hey guys, how you go?
Pretty well, thank you. A pretty hard race for you out there tonight. You absolutely had to go pretty much full pelt throughout the whole race, it looked like, and didn't have much of a chance to take a breather.
Well, yeah, that's pretty normal for this track, isn't it? Really, it's 2 short straights, and luckily we're not shifting. Otherwise, you got something to do on the straights too. But yeah, it's pretty wild. There's always something to do, and when there's a few more cars on track as well, that really makes it a bit more of a workout. So it wasn't too bad in that respect, but still, it's Martinsville, so there's always you're always at work.
Absolutely, it does bring in the fitness levels for all us sim drivers. We saw you taking an earlier stop than the rest of the field. Was that planned from the start, or were you just thinking, all right, now feels about the right time?
Well, I expected there to be hardly any yellows really, so yeah, I just wanted to pit really early and try something different. I think I remember a while back, a long time ago actually, we were racing at Richmond, and remember Ed Foster pitting like really, really early, like say lap 40 or something of like a 150 lap race, and he ended up catching up and like getting back to us and getting in front or something or crazy like that. And I thought, gee, if I can do something like that, that'd be pretty cool, because that'll get me like sort of back to where I need to be. And if there's a late yellow, well, I'll be back where I need to be anyway. But it didn't quite work out that way. But yeah, I took inspiration from that little cheeky maneuver he pulled one time.
Well, it was good to see you try something a bit different, and it was kind of working out. We saw there was about a 4.5 second gap before that caution flag came out between yourself and Pearson. So you're probably confident that you're going to close that down towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, I was slowly getting slower and slower though, so wasn't really able to keep up the pace. It was probably stabilizing a bit. Slowly catching Neil still. Like I noticed it was 6.2, then it was down to 5, then it was 4 point something, and maybe it was a bit less than that. I didn't actually look, and the yellow came out. So I was feeling like I could definitely get there, but then getting there is one thing, passing is another. So there's all sorts of little games you can play to keep people behind here. So yeah, he would have been all over it. That's what Neil's like, but would have been a bit of something, that's for sure. Hopefully no wrecks or anything, because we have a habit of that only once. But no, we would have had a go and tried to have a good race there.
Absolutely. I mean, look, we're final race of the playoffs though now, so we are into the final race at Phoenix next time out. Obviously, got to ask you, how are you feeling for that one?
Phoenix has been pretty good to me personally over, I suppose the races I've done there in the next gen car. So, and probably in general too, with most of the cars, it's seems to have been pretty good for me. So I can't go there feeling not confident. I mean, I feel good about it, and I'm sure everyone else feels good about it too. So yeah, I'm not going to count any chickens before I hatch or get ahead of myself or pump my tires up or anything. Just need to go out there and make sure I do the best I can, and see where I end up. And hopefully that's the man. If not, well, I'll be having a go anyway.
No, absolutely. Look, best of luck at Phoenix, mate. Congratulations on P3 here tonight. We'll give you a quick shout out tonight. Let you do a quick shout out, but we'll make Pearson do the hard work of all the team sponsors. So, any personal shout outs for tonight?
Yeah, it's thanks to you guys for doing the broadcast, and thanks everyone coming out for a race. Thanks everyone for watching, chatting, all those things. I'm sure there's a few folks there, so appreciate that. And look forward to next week.
Well, awesome stuff. Look, I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth. I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth next time out. Look, good luck at Phoenix, mate. And, congratulations on a solid season so far.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been good. So whatever happens now, well, I won't be disappointed, that's for sure. It's been really good.
Thank you so much. Andrew Dyson there for DPR, taking third tonight. But can it be different in Phoenix? Well, there's going to be one man that's going to be trying to stop that. That's our second place finisher, the number 10. It's Mr. Dave Douglas of Casting Couch fame. Dave, welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on P2 here at Martinsville.
Yeah. What are you doing, boys?
Well, we've been watching a race, Dave, and a race where you've been absolutely on fire tonight. You've been right up there at the front, had a fair few laps led, and just got pipped at the post by that pesky Neil Pearson.
Yeah, it was all right. For some reason, in these cup cars, the next gen cars, you call them, the shorter the track, the faster I am. The longer the track, the slower I am. I don't get it. So that's why I welcomed Martinsville and Phoenix next week. So it was a pretty good race. But I saw Neil, like I just passed him only a couple laps before, and I thought he's going to try either make it on fuel, which I didn't think he could, but he thinks he could have, and then or wait for that yellow, and he, for sure enough he got it. But yeah, luckily not too much kerfuffle on that restart, and Daiso sort of cut me a bit of slack. There was a couple of times I think he could have had a die, but I think he just played it safe and let me have it, to be honest.
Well, it worked out well for you because it has absolutely made sure you've secured a spot in the final four at Phoenix. And well, we know you're pretty good at Phoenix, so you must be feeling a little bit confident with that coming up.
Yeah, Phoenix is a braking track, and same with here. So that's where I feel I gain like under brakes. So um, I don't know what I do, but I'm a late breaker, and that sort of helps. I guess you can get deep and modulate it. But yeah, Phoenix has a lot of modulation, especially into that new, I guess, turn 1 and 2, the big wide open one through there. So if you can get it nice through there, you can get some good speed. So yeah, we'll go there with some bit of confidence. And I don't think I'm going to have enough for Daiso and Pearson, but I'll play rest of the best, or best of the rest, you should say.
Well, let's hope you can at least nip
Oh,
at their
that's
heels a
stop
bit.
that. Yeah,
Dave.
I'm going
Come
to go
on.
there, mate. I'm going to tear them boys up. Look out.
That's it. That's the message I want, Dave.
Yeah, more
Absolutely.
excitement, don't we? We don't want to be a downer, mate. Yeah, let's go. We're going to the top, baby.
Well,
I'm going to leave some
some
suspenders in the car for him.
Yeah, good. Under the pedals be nice, mate. Rattling around under their feet.
Obviously, coming in tonight, you were sort of in an awkward spot, being where you were. Sort of, if Jai Schultz or Maddie Ray got the win tonight, it was you out. But otherwise, you're pretty much through. That must have put a little bit of pressure on you tonight, just so knowing that there was a bit of luck involved.
Yeah, there was that. But to be honest, it sucks for Matty because it would have been a lot tighter if he hadn't have got into trouble at Vegas with Daiso. So it's a bit of a shame because you want to make sure that you're fighting with the guys and everyone has a good run and you can do it on track. You know what I'm saying? But that little 6-point buffer was pretty comfy considering the field sizes as they sort of went down a little bit. But once again, I'd rather I'd go head to head with Matty like we did last week. We went head to head at Homestead in the last 2 laps. They were trying to out sort of break each other in a turn and get the run off, and he got me that time. So we're 1-1 now. Yeah, I guess we might continue it next week.
Absolutely. Look, we hope to see that on track, hopefully for the lead of the race and the race win between you two. Congratulations tonight, Dave. Before I let you go, though, the usual thing, the love, the shout out, sponsors, people, go for it. You deserve it.
Yeah, just shout out to obviously ANZCAR and all the admin boys and girls, if there's any girls in there, but obviously partners as well play a role in all this. It's a long season. 36 races is no mean feat, so well done to you guys, and respect and the broadcast team. And Matty, I know he does a lot of work behind the scenes of the broadcast, making it look all schmick and shiny, and old faithful Mark showing up every week, which is good. I hope he's got me number for next week. But no, that's it, mate. Shout out to the boys; they're all pretty good out there tonight. Bit of ruffle in the feathers earlier on, but yeah, that's the longest race I've had at Phoenix. Martinsville I actually had tyre wear, so yeah, that was good.
No, great stuff, Dave. Thank you so much, mate. And I'm hoping I'll see you back in the booth in no time at all. Good luck next week at Phoenix.
Yeah, sounds good, boys. Let's go.
Dave Douglas there for the casting couch number 10. Really decent job up in P2. And finally tonight for DPR, it is the Mean Red Machine. It's the 62. It's Mr. Neil Pearson. Pearson, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on a win that was looking a little bit touch and go earlier on in this race.
Yeah, it was a bit chaotic in the first 50-odd laps.
It was. We were talking a little bit earlier in this race about how you were looking pretty comfortable for up there for race win tonight. You looked pretty racy, pretty decent up there. And then just a little bit of a moment in the mid-pack had you facing the wrong direction, right at the back of the pack, and it was looking a little bit tricky there, but you sort of managed to keep it out there in a nice long stint. And we just heard from Dave Douglas that you were thinking you could have made it to the end.
Yeah, I was definitely going to make it to the end. I think the only question was going to be whether Daiso caught me and I was able to pass. I think if he caught me, he'd definitely be able to pass because the tyres, those right side tyres, he just had better. So, yeah. But, yeah, just facing backwards, not too sure about that one. I don't think he was very happy with me earlier on in the race when I made a pass on him, and because he doored me there, and then spun me later. So I'm not sure about that, but it's what it is. And at least we're going through the Championship 4 race this year.
Absolutely. Well, it's that car that we're talking about, Mr. Reuben Phelps. He's going to be in that Championship 4 in the final race as well. But this has absolutely secured you that spot, and you also managed to get the win as well, which is nice because it now means, at least in this stage of the playoffs, you and Dyson are equal on wins.
Definitely, yeah. So we're interested to see what the points difference is between us going into the final race. I don't know if it'll be equal or if it's more based on overall points. It's going to be interesting.
Absolutely. And well, heading off to Phoenix, how are you feeling going into that final round? There are 4 very fast drivers around you. Of course, one of them is your teammate and a former champion, of course. It's going to be a hard fought battle, we think.
100% it's going to be. I mean, I know Daiso, he's really good on the short tracks. Like you saw, he had the pace tonight. He had more pace than me. So, it's going to be interesting. I think I'm going to have to pull out a lot of practice and try really get the track, get really comfortable in the car and get my adjustments just that spot on and not share them with him, make him do his own research and we'll go from there, and who knows what's going to happen in that race. Last year it was chaotic. Daiso was pretty much out of the race and then a yellow came out and then Ed got spun by someone, we won't mention me, and yeah, so it could be chaotic. I don't think it'll be as chaotic this year considering the unfortunate low numbers that we have, but it still could throw up anything.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, you're going to be telling Dyson that you're running 90 psi in the right rear for next week, and hopefully he falls for it. Your left tyres held on pretty well tonight because we saw you only changed the right sides in that pit stop. A bit of a gamble there.
Well, so I was thinking before the race, I knew Daiso was going to be good. So I was just thinking, what can I do? What can I do just to throw it out there? And, one of the things was I knew it was going to be a one stop on fuel. So I thought, why not try 2 tires instead, instead of the normal 4. And, then you're saving yourself 7 to 8 seconds, because you only need the, 10, 15 liters of fuel or whatever it was. So I thought, it might get me out in front of him and then I can maybe pass it, keep the lead and take the win. And so I thought I'll try it, because I still got the 100 series on Sunday. So I thought I'd try it and holy crap, the car was on fire. It was so good. I don't know what was going on. Like a couple of times I thought, I braked way later than I had the entire race. And I'm like, oh, here we go. And it actually it got stopped and turned better than it had all race. So I think just having those tires just that little bit warm and not overly worn was just there. It was just really good.
Absolutely. It paid off in dividends tonight because we were expecting you just to drop back a little bit, just to struggle a little bit, sort of once everybody was up to tire temperature and things like that. And all of a sudden you started pulling up the gap.
Yeah, that's exactly what I expected. So that's why I tried to time the start where I just get that gap on everyone. And I managed that pretty well. And then I just kept increasing the gap. And yeah, I was like, okay, I'll take it. I'll take the win.
It's nice when things work out that you don't expect to work, and it did indeed tonight. Look, a solid drive from yourself, Neil. Congratulations, and congratulations on getting the momentum to head into Phoenix as well. You're going to be heading in there with a win on your back, so hopefully you can make it a double this time next week as well. But before I let you go, the usual thing, the love, the shout-out sponsors, people, go for it. You deserve it tonight.
Yeah, first of all, just ANZCAR for the series. It's been a good year so far and good long year, we've had some really good racing, with my teammates and others out there, and it's been fun. So, it's a bit sad that we're coming down to the final one, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking forward to not racing on Thursdays for a while. You guys for the broadcast, it's always good to watch. And then we got simrigs.com, Southwell Lifts and Hoists, Ben Max Mechanical, NP Designs, and my teammates and Daiso and everyone else who turned up for the fun racing.
No, look, always great, Neil. Congratulations for tonight. It's been a pleasure. We wish you all the best for Phoenix as well. Hopefully, we can see you having a good night, but it's going to be a fantastic battle. So until then, have a fantastic evening, and I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
Cheers, guys. You have a great night.
Neil Pearson there for DPR, taking the victory here tonight and taking into momentum for Phoenix next week, of course. So we hope you can all join us for that, the final race of the ANZCAR Cup for 2023, next time at Phoenix. We look forward to seeing you there. But if you've not had enough race action for your week, we will be heading to the Australian Supercar E Series next time out, where we'll be racing at... I think it's at Spa-Mat. Yes, it is. Oh, I got it right for once. I actually remembered something. That is a miracle indeed. So we're heading off to Spa in the V8 Supercars. We hope you can join us there for that as well on Sunday night. And of course, if you fancy getting out and are one of the drivers, of course, the Weekend Warriors are racing on Saturday, Mark.
Third round of the Triple Crown at Auto Club.
Absolutely, the fantastic Fontana. We hope to see a few of you there for that one to bring us a great race indeed. Look, from all of us here at Performance eStreaming, we're going to wish you a good night, and we will see you again soon. From myself, Mr. Carl Wilkinson, with you, of course, Mr. Mark Johansson and Matt Hunter. Good night to you all, and we'll see you again soon.